All right, time to hit the third movie. You cannot redo 3.333. All right, so in the movie opens up, and we get like a little singing, which I assumed is Mari. It could just be like weird background music because movies have kind of weird background music. But we see Asuka, and she's like doing something. It seems like she's going into space, which I think is confirmed a little bit later. And it's like going through like a blast sequence and some other stuff, and it's great to see Asuka back. She's got an eye patch now, which is like in the other movie. I don't remember her getting hit in the eye or anything in this one, but I guess it is what it is. Anyway, so she's getting up to something in the space, and my assumption is it's AV Unit 1. Oh, I didn't mention this in the last movie review because I can't remember why, but I was like looking something up, and I came across something that mentioned that there was a post-credit scene in Evangelion 2.22 where so the third impact is occurring, and then Karu from the moon throws the Staff of Leginius into AV Unit 1, stopping third impact. I didn't see it. I just read something that someone mentioned that. So that's why the world's not over, I guess. Why we continue to go forward. Anyway, so Asuka, she gets up and she gets like attached and grabs AV Unit 1, and then she's like gonna bring it back to Earth. And at some point she's got to get to like an AT field, and Mari, who is in a pink Evangelion now, which is awesome, has to like fire into it to like break the AT field or whatever. So anyway, so Asuka grabs it, and then AV Unit 1 like comes back online for a minute, so she has to fight it for a little bit, and then they both like plummet down to the Earth, or at least AV Unit 1 does. We then get Shinji, who has like a beautiful new collar on his neck, and he's like strapped down to a bed, and there's like a cute brown-haired girl, and then they're talking about how like, oh, like his stuff matches like the database, and it seems to be him, and yada yada yada, and he's like very confused, and then he gets brought to like this command center for some reason, or no, he gets like woken up and taken to this command center, and then there's like this woman or this person wearing like a totally red suit and like eyeglasses, and apparently it's Masato, and now she's a colonel instead of lieutenant colonel, and they're in some sort of like then there's like the EXO, who's this blonde lady with like a buzzed haircut, which at first I was like, is this Ritsuko? But like no one ever calls her that, so I don't know. And then there's like a pink-haired girl who's new, and some black guy who's new. And then we see like the long-haired guy and the glasses guy, but they're much older looking. And then we also at some point see Maya, and she looks much older looking too. So they're all still around. Anyway, so they're sitting there, and then Shinji's like, the fuck's going on here? What's going on? And then someone's like, hey, if you do anything, we got this thing, and it's going to blow, we're going to kill you because of your neck or something. That might happen later. But the collars keep him restrained, and they're like, something, and he's like, I literally don't have any idea what's going on. Can you please tell me? And they're like, no. And he's like, I don't understand. And then there's like an attack. And it's like, oh, they're attacking. And then there's like and so there's this giant ship. And then there's like all these like destroyers and aircraft carriers. Well, I don't think there's any aircraft carriers. There's a bunch of all these destroyers like in the Red Sea, that is the Earth. And then these like lights come up and they like form this thing. And then there's like all this back and forth. And Masato's like, we got to take off. And like, oh, we're not ready to take off. Like, no, we're going to take off. We're going to make the Evangelions, like AV Unit 2 and AV Unit 8 can like take care of it. And so then we see Asuka like running down the hallways. And then she's like in her AV Unit. And then she's like in the water. And Mari's around, I guess, because we don't really see her that much here. But then Asuka like takes like this spear or this sword or something that's like a flame, and she's under the water, and she like stabs into something, and it like powers up this whole thing, and they do a countdown sequence, and they start to take off. But then they're like, and then when they take off, they take like the whole like destroyer group like with them, and they start to like fly up into the air, and then like there's these four things, and they're attached, and so once it gets in the air, it starts spinning around, and then the things start spinning around, and they crash them together, and then they just like fire the fuck out of them and blow them up, and then someone's like, so this is the power of a god. The power to kill God. And Masato's like, yes. And the whole time Shinji's like, what the fuck's happening? Anyway, so then he gets like taken back to his room, or he gets brought back to this like interrogation center, and there's like the EXO, who's the blonde chick, and then Masato's like standing there, and Shinji's like, what is happening? Can someone please explain to me? And they were like, you're in a lot of trouble, mister. We got this thing, and if you fuck around, we're gonna blow it up. And he's like, why do I have this collar? What happened? And where's Ayanami? Where's Ray? And they're like, we don't know. And he's like, what what do you mean? And like, well, we went to space and got Evangelion Unit 1. He's like, well, Ray was in there with me. And they're like, no, she wasn't. And then he's like, no, I got this thing. his tape deck that he listens to. And I got it from Ray. Like, she gave it to me after I like rescued her from like the angel and yada yada. And they're like, no. And then he's like, what's going on? And then someone says something about it's been 14 years, and he's like, 14 years. And then the girl, the medic girl, is like, hey, I'm a fuck, I forgot her name. It's like Sakura, whatever. It's Toji's younger sister. And he's like, oh, you mean older sister? And she's like, tee hee, it's been 14 years. And he's like, what? And then Asuka's like, you're an idiot, Shinji. And he looks up and he sees her in like her red sweater jacket thingy, and she's got like her eye patch, and he's like, oh, Asuka, it's so great to see you, I'm so happy you're alive, blah 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 blah. And she's like, fuck you, blah blah blah. And he's like, what? Why? Hey, hold on, if it's been 14 years, why are you and I like this? And she's like, it's a curse of the Evangelion. And he's like, what curse? And then she like slams, she's like, I've been holding this in for 14 years, and she like punches like the window and cracks it, because he's like behind he's like in a cage essentially. And then he's like, Asuka, what's going on? Talk to me. And she's like, no, fuck you, something, something. And then they're like, whoop, whoop, whoop. And Masato gets a call. And then she storms off. And then Masato gets a call. And it's, they're like, oh no, they're attacking for real this time. And then something Nerve. And he's like, wait, we all work for Nerve. And she's like, no, we work for Vale. And this thing's called, the giant ship's called the Wunder. It's like Wonder, but it's German, so Wunder. Or Wunder. like, and Vale is W-A-L-L-E, right? Because it's German. Anyway, and he's like, what? Nerve? And then they like shut him in his thing, and everyone runs off to like fight whatever. And then he starts hearing Ayanami's voice, and she's like, Shinji, come with me. And he's like, Ayanami's alive. I can hear her. Can no one else hear her? Is it just me? And then all of a sudden, like, AV Unit 0 shows up and like blasts through the wall. And he's like, huh. And then he's like, and it's like, come with me. And he's like, okay. And then someone's like the Taji's like younger sister is like, hey, please do not. Oh wait, oh yeah. Well, Asuka's talking to him earlier. He's like, what's with the iPad? She's like, none of your damn business. And he's like, okay. And then Taji's younger sister's like, please don't ever pilot an Evangelion again. And at some point, someone's like, hey, you're way too emotional to be piloting that shit ever again. And something. And then so Shinji's like, I'm going to go with AV Unit 0 because you guys are being crazy. You're not telling me anything. And like, I really don't understand. If you could be a little more clear and explain things to me, and the reasonable man is just yelling at me and telling me you're going to blow up my brain, like, that'd be great. And they're like, no, fuck you. And he's like, okay, well, bye. And Masato's like, if you go, I'm going to blow your neck. And he's like, no, go fuck yourself. And then we also find out AV Unit 1 is powering the ship now, so that that's what's making it able to fly and all this stuff. And so Shinji goes with AV Unit 0, and then Mari comes up in her sweet peak Evangelion, and she's still like, da 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 da. And she runs over and like blasts the head open of the thing, and then it morphs, and then Mari makes some comment about like, oh, it's Adam something, and then it like takes off, and then Masato's standing there like at the top of the ship with the hole, like holding up the fucking the neck blower upper thingy, and then her EXO is like, you gotta do it now, come on, you gotta do it, they're left something, and then Masato can't do it, and then she's like, damn it. And and at some point Asuka's like running to Evan Unit 2 to get into it and help fight, and then Mari like gets on the comms and like teases her. She's like, how's your boyfriend doing? And she's like, shut up, Mari. something. Anyway, so then Shinji gets taken to Nerve headquarters, and he's like going down the geofront, and there's like a new Ray, right? Obviously, she's wearing like a black jumpsuit, and she's like not the Ray he rescued, right? Obviously, he doesn't get it yet, but it's super obvious because she's like, oh, is that what Ray would do? Because he goes to find her, and he's like, thank you so much for saving this thing for me, like his tape recorder, and I'm glad you're still alive. And she's like, am I still alive? Like shit like that. He's like, yeah. Oh, we also see Karu. Karu is like playing the piano a bunch. When he comes in, he's like, hello, Shinji. And he's like, I don't know who you are, but hi. And then his dad comes out, and he's like, Shinji. And you will be co-pilot AV Unit 13 with Karu here. And then he's like, Dad, tell me. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. And his dad's like, adios. And then later on, we see the old white-haired professor, and he's in the room with the Sele, but none of them are responding. And he makes some comments about like, well, humanist mentality is about to happen, so maybe that's why they cut off communications. They're just waiting for it to go down. That's what we're here for. And the only reason I'm doing it is because of my love for Yuri. Shinji's dead mother, who's the Evangelion. Oh, well, maybe not in this version, but in the previous version. Anyway, so then we get some Shinji trying to talk to new Ayanami, and she's very much like, whatever. And he's like, you like to read? And she's like, does Ray like to read? And he's like, yeah, you like to read English? I'll bring you some books. So he finds some books and brings her, and she doesn't touch them. Meanwhile, the only non-awful person in Shinji's life right now, kind of like in the original, is Karu, who's like, "Hey, buddy, you want to come play piano with me?" And he's like, "I don't know, man. That's kind of weird. I barely know you." And he's like, "No, let's play duet. It'll help us." And so they start playing a lot of like classical music, and they play as a duet, and it's very nice. And he like treats him well. And then at some point, he's like, "All right, better go back to our rooms," because Shinji's like literally in a cage eating gruel. And so time, so it seems like some time goes by. Maybe it's just 1 or 2 days. But then him and Shinji are like, he's like, "All right, time to go back to our rooms." And Shinji's like, "How about we just watch the stars?" And then Karu's like, "Oh, that's weird." And so they just lay there and watch the stars. And Karu's like, "I really like this. This is fantastic. I'm glad we're friends." And Shinji's like, "Oh, I'm glad we're friends too." You're like, dude. And then he's like, "Hey, there used to be like a whole thing going on here. And I had friends like Toji and Kaji and not Kaji. I can't remember the nerd's name. And then the student class president and stuff. And what happened? Like, what happened in the last 14 years? No, people like are actively refusing to tell me what's going on, which is just frustrating me and making me confused instead of just like simply explaining what happened. And then I'd be like, "Oh, okay, I get it. Thank you for explaining that. Now I will make a more rational decision." Like, Shinji's already getting fucked over in this one. Like, he is a whiny bitch always, but in this case, I'm like, I'd be a whiny bitch too. Like, what is happening? 14 years? What does that mean? Where have I been? What's going on? Go fuck yourself. That's not an answer to any of these questions. Maybe I'll go with these guys then, since you clearly refuse to tell me anything. And then so Karu's like, "You really want to know?" And she's just like, "Yes, please." Karu leads Shinji down into, like, out of the Nerve headquarters and into Tokyo 3, essentially. And what he sees there is this giant crazy orb-looking thing and all these red crosses. And Shinji's like, "What the fuck?" And that's when Karu kind of spills the beans in the whole situation, which we already know about. That there was a third impact, or what the Lilim, remember the children of Lilith, who are like the humans, what the Lilim call the almost third impact, because it was stopped, as we know from the post-credit scene, by Karu himself. And then he goes on some diatribe about humans, Lilim and the Evangelions and things here and blah, 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 blah. And essentially, like, Shinji is like, "I killed everybody, ruh-roh. And then what about Ayanami?" And then he comes to learn very shortly here that this Rei is not the Rei that he saved. That's currently inside EVA Unit 1. This is a different Rei. This is a clone Rei. And he finds that out because shortly after Karu kind of reveals like the truth about the impact, the third impact and everything, he's like wandering the halls and old man, a white-haired guy, stops him and is like, "Hey, do you know how to play shogi?" And I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, shogi." And Shinji's like, I am vaguely aware of this game. And so he's like, "Come play with me." And so as he's playing, he's explaining, he's like, "Oh, tell me about your mom." He's like, "I don't remember anything about my mom, something. My dad destroyed everything." And then he hands him a picture, and the picture looks just like dun 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 Rei. Because dun dun dun, Rei is a clone. All the Reis, there's tons of Reis. They're clones of the mom. And so then we learn that so kind of like similarly as we learned from the series, Shinji's mom was going to be the pilot of EVA Unit 1, or the original EVAs, and they had like a totally different like sync system. Like now it's like they kind of like get in there, like Darling in the Franxx, which this is ripped, is like a kind of homage to Evangelion. But if you've seen that show more recently, where like you lean into it and you're using these things to like move things around, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, or like Voltron, right? Well, they're sitting down in a seat holding things, and it's like these things are perfectly articulate machines, and it's like, okay, it'd make more sense if they had like a video game controller, but all right, whatever, I'll allow it. But kind of like with Mari's system, where in the previous movie she would like stand there at some points, or she'd be kind of like hanging on to something, but it was not like this whole like seated contraption device like the Interlag system. Anyway, so but then things went awry, and she got absorbed into the system. So like his mother's essence is still there, and then we learn a little bit more about and in this series her last name's Ayanami, while in like the original series it was the dad's name Ayanami and he took Hikari, which was Yui's last name. Anyway, okay. I think a lot of this stuff where it's like these slight differences are just there to explain that this is not the original series, that there's something different going on here. Okay, so then Shinji starts freaking out when he learns about all this stuff in Evangelion Unit 1 and all this, and then his dad, they don't have any other action, but his dad's like off doing other things. We see Rei in like her tube, like in the TV series, and then him and Shinji tracks her down, and like they get into like a kind of argument. Mostly Shinji just like, "Are you Rei? Are you the original Rei?" And she's like, "I don't know. I'm not. I don't think so. I don't know." Because she's very confused because she's like a clone, but she doesn't like quite understand that she's a clone, but she like does on some level. And then she reports she just does what she's ordered to do. And so she's never ordered to read these books that he brought, and so she didn't do it. Wah, wah, wah. We then see the old man and Gendo, like something's coming out of something. And he's like, the final executor is finally here, and it's Evangelion Unit 13, which is a dual plug system. And we find out later that the dual plug system is necessary so that Kaoru and Shinji can pilot it together, because they're supposed to take out, Cassius and Longinus together, which are both still in Lilith's corpse in like the basement, and there's like a barrier around them that they have to, Unit 13 has to like break through first, and then they got to grab both spears at the same time, and that's going to allow Shinji to like reshape the world or whatever, kind of like at the end of Evangelion Unit or Evangelion TV series, right? So then Rei joins them in, I think it's like Eva Unit 6, which is like a replica of Ava Unit 0, the prototype, the original one, the orange one, not the white blue one she kind of rode around in later. So they at that juncture they all kind of head down, and then Kaoru's like giving Shinji some more information about this whole like get up about how they got to go. They got to get the twin spears. When they get twin spears, Shinji can like reshape the world, and that this world is busted and broken, but that together they can fix it and whatnot. And they're like teaming up together, and there's just some point where Shinji's like, I don't want to do this, I give up, I'm just going to be sad. And then Kaoru is a true bro. And the message I learned from this movie, and some people read this as like a homoerotica, but I read it as like, this dude has abandoned by mother's dies, abandoned by his father, not really treated well by anybody. He finally gets some male friends, the nerd and the jock, and then he starts like opening up and living life and treating girls well and all this stuff, and then they're gone, and then he's surrounded by fucking women again, like Masato, Asuka, Rei, and whatever, and he starts losing it again, and then he comes here and he gets abandoned by his dad again, and he's got nobody because the women in his life like turn their back on him instead of like actually giving him information. And then there's this another bro who's an angel, but still he's like a dude, and he's like, I care about you and I want to be friends. And then he's like, holy shit. And so his whole life's good again, and then it gets torn away from him once again. This poor dude just wants some bros in his life to like hang out with and share beer and like complain about bitches, right? We just can't get a break, and these fucking women just can't get it. Like, I don't know if that's what the author intended, but I'm reading a lot of this shit into this. It's like, wow, as a dude who was a teenager and had a lot of problems, it's like all you really want is some bros to like bro out with, and like someone to be like, thanks homie for getting my back. Like, we got to deal with a lot of shit, like our parents, these fucking teachers, like the system, and then like you fucking got these women who keep telling you what to do or like expect all this crazy bullshit. And you're like, man, I just need a break. And then you have like a bro who's like, come on, bro, let's just go hang out in the mountains and drink some beers and like chill the fuck out. And you're like, wow, this is better than like anything anyone else has ever given me. I go take this over sex 1,000 times over. Unfortunately for Shinji, as I just mentioned, they're going down, they break into the thing, and then as soon as they get there and they start walking, Kaoru has like a breakdown because he's like, hold up, wait a second, these are not the spears, these are not the two spears we're supposed to be getting, what the fuck's going on? And he starts freaking out, and then Asuka and Mari pop in and they start fighting. So Asuka like attacks Shinji, but he's having troubles because he's trying to figure out what's going on with Kaoru, and it's like it's supposed to be dual piloted, but he's having a hard time with that. And then Rei goes to like fight Asuka, and then Mari starts firing down at Rei, keeping her pinned down. And so she just like fight Asuka, and he's like, Asuka, I'm trying to fix things. Like, help me out. Stop being such a bitch. And she's like, no, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, holy shit, Asuka. And so they fight, and eventually he beats her up, and she runs out of power. And then Mari gets like stopped by Rei, and then Shinji starts climbing up on Lilith, and he's like, I'm gonna get these spears. He's very set, and Kaoru at some point is like, holy shit, wait, Shinji, don't do it, this is a trap. And Shinji's so caught up in trying to like change the world and being like a 14-year-old boy that he doesn't listen, unfortunately for him, because then he grabs the spears and pulls them out, and this starts the fourth impact, right, which is what Seele and Gendo wanted. And then Gendo's like in the Seele council room with all the monoliths, and he's like turning them all off and being like, you guys, here you go, we're all gonna merge together, and I know you guys gave up your humanity a long time ago to be these like machines, but we're gonna shut this shit down. And they're like, thank you, Lilim, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay. And Kaoru keeps referring to humans as Lilim as well. Anyway, so then fourth impact happens. It's like this big thing. He like goes up in the sky. Ava Unit 13 becomes like an angel, or Kaoru transforms, and he makes a comment. He's like, I was the first angel and now I'm the 13th. It's so ironic. This is not what I wanted. These fucking dudes tricked me. Fucking Lilim. He calls Gendo the king of Lilim. It's pretty good. And then the Thunder comes to like blow up Shinji and stop him. And Ray jumps on the Wonder to like stop them, and she's fighting, and then Asuka has to run along and hop up, and then her and Ray are fighting, and she's beating the shit out of Ray, and then Ray's beating the shit out of her, and at some point Ray's like, I gotta go, sorry Unit 2, and she like evacs out of there and then blows up, which destroys her and Unit 8, sending Ray out as well. And so then Ray and Asuka are like out of action, but the Wonder is okay. But it's like, and then Karu like sacrifices himself. He's like, I don't want to do this. I want to leave you people. I want to leave you, Shinji, because you're my best friend forever, as like with an opportunity to like change the world and fix things. So bye. And so he stabs the Unit 13 with both the spears. And then his head blows up. And I think he activated the collar. Because at some point in the episode, he also mentions, like, this was always meant to be the way it happened. I just took a little bit of time because I wanted to spend more time with you. And it's like, what a bro, man. Anyway, so, and then Shinji's, like, freaking out. But then, like, the whole fourth impact stops. And then he curls up in a ball and starts falling. And we see Gendo and the professor. And they're like, and Gendo's like, everything is going according to plan. It's like, the fuck? How can you possibly plan this? It's so ridiculous. That is the most ridiculous part about this show. Not the angels and the fucking giant robots or any of this stuff. It's like Gendo's always like, good, according to plan. It's like, what the fuck? You're like some psychic wizard who could see the future. Like fucking Paul Atreides. Like, the fuck are you doing? Not even according to plan. How is this all according to plan? Anyway, that's pretty funny. And then Masato's like, oh, phew, we did it. And then Shinji's like, he's like, I'm done. He's doing his Shinji thing. And then he's falling. And then Mari jumps on AV Unit 13 and is like, come on, puppy. You got to stop being... Oh, and at some point when she's fighting Ray, she mentions, like, I like the original you better. Or the original you was much easier to deal with, right? So clearly Mari at some phase, or maybe everyone's a clone, right? So at some point she was friends or knew Yui, Ayanami in this version. And then Ray's like, the first me? Like, anyway, so then she bashes into even Unit 13 as it's falling, and like pops out the. Also when Asuka is fighting Ray, she does like beast mode, so it's super cool because like her patched eye turns blue, like the whole thing. It's like clearly there's something underneath there, and then she's like rah, and it's super hot and stuff. So okay, so back to the present. So Mari is she essentially forcibly ejects Shinji's entry plug, and then U-13 like keeps falling, and Mari jumps back out, so she's not drawn into the whole thing. And then like dust settles, and we see like we see inside the entry plug that Shinji's in, and he's curled up in a ball being a little bitch. And then Asuka's like hops up on top, and she's like, oh no. And the other thing Mari says is, you got to go rescue the princess, which is clearly talking about. Well, I don't know. It might be talking about Ayanami, his mother, but I think it's talking about Asuka. Okay, so Asuka's up there, and she's like, Shinji, the fuck? I told you not to put in Evangelion, yada yada. Are you just gonna do this shit? God damn it! And then she walks away a little bit, and she's like, because she's in love with him, right? Because he's like the only guy who's ever nice to her and treated her well in her entire life, and treated her like a human being, which she might not be. But so then she comes back, because she keeps referring to the humans as Lilim as well. So then she comes back, and she hops in there, and she like drags Shinji out, and then she's dragging him along, and she's like, can you at least fucking stand while I drag you over here? Like, stop being a little bitch. And then Ray walks up, and she's like, God damn it, what are you doing here? And then Ray just stands there, and she says something like, I was following orders. And then Asuka's like, God damn it, let's go. Like the something part, like the alpha particles, like Nika got us a victory, are too strong here, so we can't get rescued. And then she starts dragging Shinji off. And then Ray looks down and sees that Shinji dropped his like music box with his like ghetto blaster, as the Germans would say, with his headphones. And so she like picks it up and follows. And that's the end of 3.33. And then so it's awesome. This is awesome. The Evangelion battles are awesome. We get a lot of like crazy more work time. This is I'm still going with, unless the fourth movie like totally changed my mind, the original series is better, and I enjoyed it better. But like the original series is like a 9.5 or 9.6 or 9 or 10, right? This is like a 9.3. Like, I'm still enjoying it. I think it's awesome. I like that they redid it, but it's different. Like, it's different, but it's still fucking awesome. And then the animation is just like, the best part is the animation is just like top tier, and the battles are cool, and all the like the expressions on Asuka's face and everyone's face. Like, we have these shots of like Shinji being like stunned by what's happening and like ashamed of himself, and it's like his face is all wrinkly and he's all sad looking, and it's like, it's so good. The animation in this series is so fucking good. And I don't really like kind of this weird like future thing they did, to be completely honest. Like, I'm just kind of like, well, again, it's like I'm willing to see where this goes. And sadly, for people who watch this, which I avoided watching these until they were like quote unquote done, because you never know, right? But supposedly the end of the series has already happened. Because I knew they were going to make a fourth movie. Well, they made a first one, and it's like, oh, they're going to make 3 of these. And then by the time they're making the third one, they were like, we're going to make a fourth one. So I was like, I'm just not going to watch any of this shit till it's done. And I'm glad I didn't, because if I had to watch this in like 2021 or whenever it came out, I think it was even earlier, and then I had to watch like the new one in like 2024. It's like 3 years of waiting. Like, I'd be so pissed, man. Like, I'm already pissed when it's like I watch like Fear in season 1, and it's like, all right, season 2 will be someday in the future, and I'm like, god damn it, I should have just waited. Like, I hate this shit so much. Or like I'm playing erotic visual novels, and it's like you get to a point, you're like, oh, it's just getting good, and it's like, oh man, this game's probably abandoned. It hasn't been updated in like a year. Fuck, why'd I even play this shit? It just upsets me. But yeah, but no, it's good. I highly recommend. I would watch the original series because it is better in my opinion. Again, and this might change with the fourth movie, but thus far, if I'd watched these 3 movies and the original series and nothing else existed, I would say this is fun. It's like a nice little side project. It's how I feel about Escaflowne. Vision of Escaflowne is my favorite anime ever. Period. It's impossible to find, so just torrent that shit. Like, it is literally impossible to find. Like, you have to buy like a used DVD, or I don't know if they even have it on Blu-ray. I used to own it on DVD, but it disappeared at some point. Anyway, but I don't think any streaming service has it, at least in America. But it is, so just fucking torrent it. It's so fucking good. And then there's a movie, and the way I feel about these movies is the way I feel about that movie, where it's like, I like this movie, I like what they're doing here, and the characters are slightly different, and the story is slightly different, but the TV series is 1,000 times better. Not 1,000 times better, is better, right? And I would rather just watch, if I had to choose one or the other, I would choose the series hands down. And that's how I feel about this thus far. And someone was saying something in something I was reading that they're connected somehow, so maybe this is like a grand story, and so you really got to just watch them all in order or something. But we'll see after I get to the fourth movie, which will be in a week, according to when I post these things. But yeah, excellent. Continues to be good. Also continues to be Mario's Great Edition. And Shinji, unfortunately, went back to being like a little bitch in this one, which I liked his character development in the previous 2 movies a lot better than this one. So hopefully that turns around too, because it's one of those things where it's like, I get what they're going here, and I get why Asuka would be attracted to him and saying that Ayanami, because he treats them like real human beings and cares for them and does nice things for them. But at the same time, it's like he's like too much of a little bitch, and that was my problem. The biggest problem with the series is like at times you're just like, bro, grow some balls, man. And I get that's kind of the point, but at the same time, it's like it's almost too much in the series. And this, it is a little much. So we'll see if things turn around. But cool. Go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment, and I will catch you guys later.